Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30-plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable pink kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Daddy J, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Cat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Brian, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Countess Electra, S'more, Hacksaw, Devoted Knight, 3 a.m. Thoughts,
Crash Override, Spiper No Spiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, Jack, Ophelia, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Sadia Lemon, Ben, Noir, Elysium Rose, Avalia, Nora Murapura, Bricks, Wonder Chris, Cheshi, Manders, Swinging Amish, Dark Gaia, Hyper Tarantula, Sunny Bee, Baby Squirrel, Freddie Queen, Kane, Ashley B.
Before we dive deep into this conversation, this topic that I'm really excited about, I have a story to share with Dara from last night at the dungeon that I told the people involved I would be discussing them today when we record the podcast. So they've known, they've been warned. I sort of pretty much have their consent.
Is this the scene that I missed with?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I am actually very upset that I couldn't make it last night. My mom was here, though, and we basically have this weekend planned every year, so there was no way I was going to make it.
Well, last night in the dungeon, our good friend Hag and his partner Usa were doing a very special scene. And the reason this was a special scene is Hag had lost a bet. And never bet what your ass can't cash.
That's good advice.
So Hag ended up in a dog cage wearing dog ears, a dog muzzle, socks that gave him feeties, little pawsies, things. Usa had little cookies that were small enough to resemble dog treats. And we were invited to come over and pet the dog. Though there was a big sign on the cage that warned, beware of dog. He's very aggressive and he might bite. And luckily he had a muzzle on.
Oh my God.
If looks could kill, we would all be dead. He was not happy about this. But again,
that's amazing.
Don't make bets your ass can't cash. And
I went to go bet was.
I went to go put my hand on the top just to reach the top of his head to kind of scratch it. He wailed his arm so hard, the sign went flying. The front of the cage popped off. I jumped back because I was not expecting that, right? I figured there's going to be some playful aggression and pretending. I completely underestimated how fucking pissed off he was.
But he went through with it.
He did it. And then I came up to him. I saw him a little bit later and I said, why didn't you let me scratch the top of your head? I said, I have the perfect nails for it. And I stood on my tippy toes because I have to, put my hands on top of his head and just started scratching the top of his head.
This was when he was out of the cage?
Oh, yeah.
And he let you?
For a second or two, yeah.
Just not while he's in the cage.
Well, I think it was more in the cage. He knew he could kind of do something and not necessarily hurt me, where in that position I was right on top of him, so I would have ended up hurt possibly.
Well, he probably hurt himself whacking the cage.
So the funny thing, Usa was like, she goes, did you see him? Did you see him? I said, yeah, I did. It was really funny. And I told her, I said, he is so pissed. She says, yeah, maybe it wasn't such a good idea planning a scene afterward where he gets to do impact on me. And I looked at her, I said, yeah, it might not have been your best decision. But she's a masochist, and so she's like, okay, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So
Yeah,
I don't know what happened since, but that was an adventure.
She probably enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah. And then Vixen and I, in between going over rules with people, and everybody was so incredibly lovely last night. It was one of the best crowds as far as giving rules and them being receptive to them and asking questions. And, a couple people, I was like, I'm going to mark your label on your wrist so that you don't have to listen to the speech again. And a couple of them were like, oh, no, I'd be happy to listen to this again if you want. There were just two of us, so people were actually waiting their turn. And they were coming
and
up
not just
to
pushing
us.
through.
No, they were coming up to us going, so I heard we need to hear the speech because we're new. It was amazing.
Oh, how nice.
And then in between all that, we spent the entire evening talking about Heated Rivalry. So if you have not yet watched Heated Rivalry, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But for the rest of us, we managed to cover 3 hours of talking about the show, and we still are texting back and forth, talking more. So it's pretty funny.
I guess that'll be my binge for this week.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So
wait, how many episodes are there?
There's only 6.
Okay, yeah, no, I can binge that by tomorrow. Oh, wait, no, I have to work tomorrow. Never mind. I should have binged it today.
Then the day after that is our Little Smudge.
Oh, crap. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do?
For the weekend.
I was going to say, isn't it a long weekend coming up next week? Because it's, I don't know, what holiday is it on Monday? Next
Martin
Monday.
Luther King.
Yes. Yeah, I can binge it on that day.
There you go.
What better way to celebrate Martin Luther King Day than gay
love?
Sounds perfect because, civil rights and all that.
Perfect. I love it.
Justification.
Yes. So our episode today, I'm super excited about, but it's a couple things before we even get into it. I feel we need to have a medical disclaimer, which we haven't done one of these in a while. So I'm excited about that. First up, in case you didn't already know this, we are not doctors.
Nope. I've seen them on TV, but I don't think that counts.
We are not therapists. We've been to therapists, but we ourselves are not therapists.
No.
That this episode is not meant to be medical or mental health advice. That impact play is not an actual treatment for anxiety.
Oh my God, no, it's really not, guys.
And that if you are dealing with anxiety that feels unmanageable, working with a licensed mental health professional is important. And no shame in that either. So there's our disclaimer. I wanted to just get that out of the way.
Glad you did. Can you imagine if therapists actually prescribed spanking?
Listen, you never know. We talk all the time about how kink is therapeutic. It's not therapy, but it is therapeutic. So it is possible that in conjunction with other therapy approaches that they could recommend spanking or other forms of kink.
Yeah, but I'm picturing somebody doing a prescription for spanking.
I actually have a friend who has a prescription that they wrote out to her husband stating she must have 2 or 3 orgasms a day.
Yes. Isn't it through, it actually has to be PIV sex?
Yes, it actually has to be PIV sex, and it's specifically for that area and the tightening of the muscles and all of that.
Right.
So yeah. All right. So now that we've gotten the medical stuff out of the way, this episode was sparked by a recent article that I read talking about how spanking specifically, but other forms of impact play can actually help with anxiety. And I have to admit, my first reaction was like, what? But then the more I read and then started to research, and the more I thought about it and thinking about my own reasons that I like to bottom for kink and how it helps me ground myself and calm myself, it started to make sense. And I thought, I think we really need to kind of cover this subject because I'm not the only one who does this. I know others do it.
I don't know how much help I'm going to be in this episode. Like, I have anxiety, but I cannot be hit. So I'm just going to sit here and be like, yeah.
Well, you might be able to help contribute because I don't have anxiety. So you'll be able to talk about some of the anxiety part and I'll talk about the impact part. Fair enough?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
So I thought this would be a really important episode because one of the interesting things that I have discovered in kink, one of the myths that was busted for me is the fact of how many people in kink are either neurodivergent or have mental health issues such as anxiety. I was never anticipated that because to me, if you're going to go out in public and do the shit that we do, like I figured you were kind of like, just this wild, crazy, extroverted person who doesn't suffer from, maybe suffering's not the right word, so I'm going to take that one back, who doesn't have, mental health issues like anxiety or something. And I discovered I was completely wrong. And, that's good. Look, I should meet a more diverse crowd of people so I can understand the other side of things. And so a lot of kinksters were already using sensation and ritual to kind of regulate themselves without even realizing it. And I thought this episode we could cover one of Dara's absolute favorite things in the world, the why.
I do love the why.
Why does this work?
That is an excellent question. I'm genuinely curious about it. I was just not entirely sure how it could contribute because the whole hitting thing.
Well, there's ways. So for this episode specifically, we're going to be talking about anxiety from the perspective of the person receiving the impact or the bottom. I know anxiety doesn't exist on just one side of the slash, that absolutely both sides of the slash can have this. But I wanted to talk very niche about how receiving it helps you regulate. Could translate to doing it, because obviously if you're using your hand to hit somebody, your hand is getting the impacts. So maybe it's the same thing, just on the other side.
Yeah.
But most of the research that I was able to do talks about what the receiving of the impact does. And so that's why we're going to be focusing on what it looks like when one partner is using the impact play as a regulation tool. So let's start off with talking about anxiety. That anxiety is not just a thought problem. It's not just an in your head problem. It shows up physically in your body. It could be tight muscles, clenched jaw, shallow or irregular breathing, an upset stomach, or even restlessness. And even when your brain is telling your body everything is fine, your body isn't getting it.
Your body's going, oh, hell no, and like running the hell away.
Yeah. The nervous system is basically, there's two main settings. And this is simple terms. Not only am I not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I barely passed my science classes. So I dumbed this down for me so I could explain it. You basically have two main settings in your nervous system: alert and protective, and calm and settled. Anxiety keeps you stuck in that alert mode. And when your body happens to stay in high alert for these long periods of time, your muscles are staying tense. Your breathing stays shallow. And the body is always preparing for danger that actually never is arriving. And over time, let's face it, that becomes really exhausting and overwhelming, right? This is not a case where, I can say to myself, all right, just take a deep breath and get over yourself. You're just being paranoid. This isn't going to happen. I can do that.
No.
I don't have anxiety. Dara obviously can't because she does have anxiety.
No, it is not like that at all. It is like you cannot stop it. Like it's constant being in fight or flight mode. And then when something does happen, you kind of feel like, I knew it, but then you have to deal with the actual thing that's happening and it sucks.
Your thoughts were validated.
Yeah, they were, but it still freaking sucks that they were because you don't want them to be.
Now, anxiety basically creates energy, right? Your body's getting ready to, as Dara said, run or fight and protect itself. But in modern life, we don't kind of really physically fight and do other things to move that energy out. So that energy gets trapped inside of our body. And that's where the racing thoughts and the emotional overwhelm and irritability, and maybe even shutdown or numbness starts to occur. And then the brain adds on to this by constantly scanning and looking for problems, replaying conversations in your head, thinking maybe something was said or somebody's mad at you, right? That maybe you said the wrong thing. You start imagining worst case outcomes.
Constantly. Oh my God. The amount of, okay, like have you seen, oh my God, what is that show? With the movie that just came out, with the emotions?
Oh, the Disney one, Inside Out.
Yeah, have you seen Inside Out too?
I have not. I've only seen the first.
Okay, you need to watch it, and I'm actually, like, I should have told you to watch it before this because it is so accurate as far as the anxiety character. It is wildly accurate because it's processing every worst case scenario that you can come up with and like making yourself go like, okay, if this happens, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if I do this, then it's going to be this. But if I do that, then it's going to be this anyway. And it's just this constant battle, and it is so exhausting.
Well, yeah. And then the loop feeds itself, right? Like it
just makes it so much
worse. As you said, something eventually does happen because let's face it, in life, at some point, something is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that just validates your feelings, which makes the loop continue and continue and continue.
Yeah. And you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
Like you can try all you want, but you can, but it is so incredibly hard to stop that loop once it starts. I will literally sit in my car after work and have conversations with myself about what could I have said.
I have conversations with myself too, but not like that. It's different.
I will literally go to bed at night and it will replay in my head over and over and over and over. And sometimes it's just one line that's just repeated.
Well, this is where, for those who are willing to try, impact play can help and interrupt anxiety. First of all, impact play creates a very intentional sensation, right? There's a very strong, clear physical experience, and it's something that the body has to pay attention to. This came up in a conversation I was having with somebody else about, right, my kidney stones and the fact that how was I as a masochist? Why am I bothered by the pain from the kidney stones? It's like, well, easy. One was intentional, was consensual, and one was fucking not.
Uh-huh.
And that makes a huge difference in how you're able to process what's going on. And the sensation matters. Anxiety kind of lives in the future and the what ifs, while sensation is living in the present moment, what is currently happening right this second. And the brain cannot both spiral and focus on the impact at the same time. It's one or the other. Either I can spiral or I can focus on the impact, but not both. And there's a reason for that. There's a whole chemistry shift here that's happening here. See, look, science.
Ooh.
It's for science, right? Obviously, we know impact gives you endorphins, which is the body's natural pain relief chemicals. And they create warmth and calm and sometimes euphoria. Remember, happy people just don't kill their husbands.
Exactly.
Endorphins also help quiet the stress response. It also can create endocannabinoids. I think I said that right. Endocannabinoids. Which is obviously related to cannabis,
I get that.
folks. Yeah, it's related to cannabis.
Yeah. And I understand the endo part.
Yeah. It's the body's natural calming chemicals, and that actually will help slow the racing thoughts and basically promote a sense of, I'm okay. I'm good. I got this. And then, of course, you get oxytocin, which is released during consensual, caring touch. And that stuff helps the body feel safe and connected. So all of that's fine and dandy, but why does impact play, actually getting hit and potentially getting hurt, how does that calm your system instead of triggering something? Well, it's chosen intensity versus unwanted stress, right? Anxiety is intensity you did not choose. I don't know anybody who chooses this.
Nope.
Right?
There is no reason to ever do that.
But impact play is intensity that you opted into. You wanted it. You sought it out. You consented to it. And similar to my situation of my impact pain versus my kidney stone pain, that difference is huge for your nervous system. There's also predictability around impact play. You know what's going to happen. If you've hopefully done this right, you've negotiated exactly what's going to happen. So your body knows what's coming, what toys are going to be used. You've discussed the intensity. How do you want it? Do you want something really hard, soft, work up to it? You have control over it all because you can stop it at any given time with your safe words. And you have a general idea of when it's going to end. This is not, right? You don't go into an impact scene thinking this is going to be an all-day thing. You usually have an amount of time, approximately, that you know you can do this in. And the body relaxes when it knows that there's a plan. Hence my making multiple plans. Because I find it very relaxing. Okay. And then there's also a physical release. When you know that you're about to get hit, your muscles tense up. And then you get hit, and now they release. You've got hit, you survived it, and now they can release. And that constant tensing and releasing and tensing, releasing can actually help your body feel deeply grounded, which I know it very much does for me. That's why sometimes if I haven't had impact for a while, I will take one of my toys and literally just start hitting myself with it.
Hey, you should talk
like
about...
you do it when you do that with children. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. I'm not going
Right.
to stop hitting myself.
Well, I was going to say, I think this would be a really interesting point to talk about when you kind of discovered that, which is what, during COVID?
Yeah, during COVID. Prior to COVID, between the dungeon and private parties, I was having scenes usually at least 3 weekends a month. So I was having regular times where I was getting to have pain. And then boom, COVID hit. And that all went away. And I discovered that, and the fact that as an extrovert and I couldn't people, COVID was actually really tough for me. I mean, I laugh. My son, who is a total introvert, was like, I have spent my whole life preparing for this very thing. And
yeah, so was your daughter.
So was my daughter. They were both fine. I wasn't doing well. I really was in a state of situational depression that lasted a long time because the situation lasted a long time. And, I was able to at least try to stay connected, started Kink, but also, I bought toys. I took my stimulus money and I stimulated the kinky economy and got new toys that I could use. And every time a new toy would show up at my house, it would spend approximately a month on my sofa. And while I was watching television, I would just hit myself with the damn thing. And I found it was really helpful. I mean, think about the number of people who have talked about the fact that impact helps fight their fibro or other pain conditions that they might have, because it sort of short circuits the brain into something a little more positive, and it helps.
Right. It's the consensual versus non-consensual, and it's sort of almost a distraction from your constant pain. It's a different kind of pain, one that you actually control, and that's why we like doing it.
And I've been doing this since I was a child, long before I ever even knew about kink. I have knee problems, and I've had knee problems since I was a kid. Whenever my knee would start to really hurt, I would punch it, specifically the side of my knee, which is where the pain was, because my kneecap doesn't move up and down straight. It's crooked. And so I would get pain on the side of my knee, and I would literally punch it to help deal with the pain.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I do with the Electro, with the TENS unit.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting yourself in the muscles or the nerves with electricity is painful. You're supposed to turn it up until it kind of hurts, but it takes the pain away from your consistent other kind of pain, your chronic pain.
Yeah. And then impact specifically, Dara will have to tell you how this works from, let's say, an electro standpoint, since I don't talk for electro. In impact, specifically, like spanking, there's a rhythm and a repetition, and that also helps contribute to regulation. One of my favorite things to do when I'm topping for impact is I hit to the beat.
Yeah.
Right? And that rhythm matters and really helps because those predictable patterns help calm the nervous system. There's no guessing what's going to happen. When is it going to happen? You know, it's a predictable behavior. It's similar to like, when you do the steady breathing, in for 4, hold it, and then out for 6 or whatever numbers you use, right? That's a whole pattern and rhythm to it. Or if you're rocking, some people find rocking helps calm them down. And it's all because of that rhythm. And the body ends up syncing with that rhythm, which helps slow everything down. All those, the nervous system, it helps slow it down and calm it down, which is ultimately what we're trying to establish here. Your brain stops scanning. What's going to happen next? What am I looking for? Because there's no guessing what's next. They know exactly what's happening. You don't have to be as vigilant, and you could be more present in the now and not worry about the future. And that's a gift.
Yeah.
You'll hear people talk about, I can turn my brain off during these scenes. And this is what we're talking about. This is exactly it. You're turning your brain off. You're basically letting your brain take a vacation and relax, which also helps your body relax. Now, the implement you're going to use here is going to make a difference, right? Things like your hands, paddles, and floggers will more often be able to create a really lovely rhythm. The thudding, especially, anything thudding can create this beautiful rhythm with your body. While sharp, unpredictable pain, like a cane, is less regulating. That is not going to be as helpful.
What about scratchy feelings?
I don't know if scratchy feelings give enough sensation, but maybe that's just because for me they don't, being that I have such a high tolerance. Maybe for somebody like you who doesn't have such a high tolerance. But you would want the scratching to be in a rhythm.
Yeah. Obviously I don't like thuddy. I've said that before, but I do like scratchy. So now I'm kind of curious.
Well, you'll have to do some research and report back to us.
For science.
So people have actually been doing this for a while. You've probably heard of maintenance spankings, right?
I think so, yeah.
Well, first, what do we mean by maintenance? It means you're not getting the spanking for punishment. You're not getting the spanking to be corrected. And you're not getting the spanking because somebody, quote unquote, messed up. And now you have to face the consequences. The goal with maintenance spankings is regulation and connection, not discipline. And maintenance spankings will be pre-negotiated, predictable, very intentional, and often very scheduled. Either you can have a set time once a week, once a month. Some people I know have code words for it when they need it. I think a friend of ours is like, my skin feels scratchy.
Interesting.
And that's to tell her dom. Basically what it means is her skin's starting to feel tight from that, from the anxiety. Like, do you get that? Is that one of your feelings when you're feeling like your skin feels very tight?
Yeah, it actually feels like it's too small.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're wearing a shirt that's suddenly too small, like it shrank, and you put it on and you're just like, this doesn't feel right.
So like you, in that instance, the code words to your partner could be, my skin feels small.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a weird thing to say, but yeah, that's pretty much the feeling.
But sometimes, sometimes in the moment, we don't always have the ability to come up with the right words. Hence your okay.
Right.
So if that's a feeling you have, then you can just describe that feeling and your partner will know what that means. And it means it's time for the maintenance spanking. Some people prefer to have it scheduled so that they don't get to that point, that they can just, it's therapy.
It also kind of sounds like, maintenance on your car. There are certain things you need to schedule so that your car doesn't break.
Exactly. So you want to do it kind of beforehand.
Right. You need an oil change so your engine doesn't seize up.
Right.
However, there are other things that you can wait on and then oh shit, that broke. Okay, I'll just go fix it.
An anxious nervous system is really craving predictability, right? Because anxiety often comes from uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen next. You're not in somebody else's brain to know that what you said came across the way you meant it, or worrying about, did I say something wrong? Well, you don't know because unless you actually ask them, it probably isn't going to come up. And not knowing what's coming is what's keeping the body on edge. You
Mm.
are always prepared to run or fight. There's no other option. And so having these maintenance spankings where you know it's going to happen on a known schedule and you've negotiated exactly what it's going to do and have this agreed upon intensity with a clear beginning and a clear end makes it very predictable. And that predictability alone can lower your baseline anxiety. Nothing else but just that predictability can help and make a difference.
That makes sense.
And the maintenance spankings provide a regular release of stored tension. Think about it. Your body's got all this tension that's built up inside of it. And you might not even notice how much you're holding. As you said, a lot of the reason I think you describe it as your skin feeling too small is because your body's filled up with all this extra tension. And your body wasn't necessarily meant to hold all that tension.
Right. And there's no place else for it to go.
Right? And that's when your shoulders start coming up to your ears.
Have you ever seen me in the middle of an anxiety attack?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Maintenance spankings basically give your body a really safe outlet. And it's a physical reset. It's the release of all this tension coming out. You can go back to the beginning. You've been totally reset. And if you've scheduled it, so it comes once a week, once a month, whatever, it's a chance to let all that tension go before it becomes too overwhelming for you. Because sometimes if you let it go too long, right, and you're overwhelmed, it's a lot harder to pull back from it than if you can get to it sooner. And spankings spankings. That's good. I speak good. Spankings spankings.
Spatenance makings.
Yes. So I almost did it again. Spanking maintenance. Wow. They interrupt.
Maintenance
Yeah.
spanking. Wait, shit. That's actually harder than it sounds.
Right. They interrupt the anxiety cycle before it escalates. So instead of waiting until your anxiety peaks, your maintenance scenes work preventatively. I think your car example is perfect. You don't wait until you're out of oil to put oil in.
Well, you shouldn't.
You should, because then what happens? Your engine's blown and you don't got a car anymore.
Which is not helpful.
No. But if you can, when you're starting to get low is when now you have your maintenance spanking. That's going to help. Your body doesn't even have to reach that crisis mode before it gets relief. And all of that's going to help reduce emotional meltdowns. Hopefully it'll reduce the chance of your body shutting down and the panic spirals that sometimes occur. But there's more because our nervous systems are very intelligent. And they can learn.
There's more.
There's more. They can learn safety through repetition. And so repeated experiences teach your body what to expect. So through these maintenance spankings, over time, your nervous system is going to learn that intensity can be safe. And that sensation can end gently. And then care is going to follow the stimulation. And that can even help make your future anxiety responses less extreme. The spankings also create like a sense of containment. Anxiety often feels like it's everywhere and nowhere all at once. It's coming from all sides. While maintenance spankings give your anxiety this like container. It puts all of the sensation into one place at one time with a clear transition to go into the maintenance spanking and a clear transition out of it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making sure because I know what I'm thinking, but I don't always know if it comes out through my words.
Yeah, no, I think it works. I understand.
Right? And then that containment also helps the body relax. There's also
I like the idea of the container, actually. Like, that's also a really good analogy because that's like when you ever been like super, super bloated?
Yep.
And you need to like basically release a valve. It's almost like you're pulling everything out and putting it someplace else.
Ooh, I like
and that releases the pressure.
If you hit enough, there's a pressure valve, but you fart. It'll just. Remember, I popped out a butt plug once. It does. It's a pressure valve, and it just, if you have it
You're
plugged
right.
in, it just goes.
Yes, fun stuff. That.
Yep. I almost again, maintenance spankings. I got it right this time. They also offer a connection and reassurance, which matter. A lot of these times, especially if they're a spanking exactly versus any other implement, it's somebody's hand is touching you. A hand is on your butt. That's very personable. That's very connected. It's one of the reasons, even when I'm not necessarily doing spankings, but I'm using toys, I still touch the person with my other hand because that connection between the two of us helps keep them calm. And
Makes sense.
the whole thing is that they become a familiar routine. You've known with your partner what kind of aftercare you're going to do with, and there's a level of trust between them, between you and your partner, that you have a problem and they're going to help solve it with you. And they're going to give you this release. And that ongoing connection alone can also be really grounding for anxious people because it reinforces for you that I'm cared for and that I'm safe and I don't have to deal with all of this by myself. I've got somebody here with me to help me through it. Now, maintenance spankings. Yeah, I said it right. Now I'm second guessing myself. They're not going to be for everybody. Right? Some anxious nervous systems find the anticipation too stressful, even though it's scheduled. So you know it's going to happen Sunday at 6, but Friday at 5, you start thinking, "Oh my God, we're that much closer. We're that much closer. We're that much closer." And instead of that being relieving and helping you go, "Okay, if I could just hang out until then, I'm going to get the release I need," it ends up being more stressful. The anticipation. For some people, having scheduled intensity increasing also causes more anxiety instead of easing it. So maintenance spankings really are only going to work when it's genuinely wanted and you've sat down and negotiated the hell out of it. Exactly what's going to happen. What does this spanking look like? So that you take away the guesswork. They know exactly, we're going to just use the bare hands or we're going to use the bare hands and this one flogger. Whatever it is, you have to have it completely well thought out and negotiated so there's no guessing games of what's going to happen. But it also still needs to remain flexible because let's say that's been a really horrific week for you and the anxiety is too much. It's not going to wait till your scheduled spanking. You might need to do it sooner. Or maybe having a more intense spanking is just not going to work this time. So you have to do it less intense, or it's got to go longer because there's just that much more tension. As in any scene, the both of you have to be flexible so that the scene ends and goes the way you want it to go. So just quick takeaways on the maintenance spanking specifically. They're not magic and they're not necessarily going to fix your anxiety, but they can help for some people with their offering of structure and predictability and physical release and emotional grounding. And sometimes that combination of those can help you. And if you're somebody that wants to try it, then sit down with your partner and talk about it and what that would look like and try it. And, no harm, no foul. If it doesn't work, you stop doing it. But if it helps you, great. And maybe what you need to do is try it for a while once a month. And then maybe if that's not working, you try it every other month or weekly or try something different till you find the magic combination that works specifically for you. Now, I did talk a little bit about aftercare. And I feel like I need a little caveat here because you guys know I am very vocal about aftercare is not a requirement. Just the negotiation around aftercare is the requirement. But when it comes to anxiety as a part of the scene, I do think aftercare becomes more important. I don't necessarily need aftercare in the scenes that I do because my scenes aren't being done as a way to release anxiety. Or even if they are because it's been so long and I just need to get grounded again, my levels of anxiety are not such that I'm going to really truly need any kind of aftercare. But if you're somebody who really deals with anxiety regularly and you're using spanking as a way to kind of combat it, then I would recommend really making sure that aftercare is included in that scene and that you've negotiated. And the reason that I think it's important is we always talk about how after impact play, the body really needs help settling. Because the impact play, right, it activates your adrenaline and your endorphins and heightened awareness. And the chemicals don't disappear just because the scene is ended. Well, for people who have anxiety, we don't want to leave you in this place of adrenaline and endorphins and heightened anxiety. We want to bridge you back to a calm place, which was what the idea behind and the goal behind this impact scene was in the first place. I like to stay in that adrenaline, endorphin, heightened awareness stage because it's not anxiety for me. It's just fun.
Yeah, because you're high.
Because I'm high. I like it. It's my ability to be high without actually doing any drugs. But if your goal obviously is to combat anxiety, then we want to bring you down into a calm setting. The nervous system of an anxious person doesn't always downshift easily. And if they had the ability to just downshift into calmness on their own, don't you think they would?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And unfortunately, for people with anxiety, your nervous system could stay on a hell of a lot longer because that's part of the condition. That's part of being anxious. And if you don't have intentional support after the scene, you are much more likely going to feel this sudden emotional drop. And the racing thoughts will immediately start returning, and you'll find yourself feeling maybe shaky or disconnected. And instead of feeling calm, which again, that's our goal, that's what we want, you're going to feel a sense of what the fuck just happened? And what do I do now? Where if you make sure that aftercare is part of the whole thing, you're going to help close that loop. It's going to signal to your body that the intensity is complete. It is done. It reassures your nervous system that it is now safe to relax. You can absolutely relax at this point. It is safe. And it's going to transition you from a heightened sensation back to a calm baseline. And again, as I keep mentioning, predictability helps reduce anxiety. Knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, can really be a factor in reducing anxiety. So knowing that you're going to have aftercare and that the aftercare is coming can be very calming. Even before the scene has even started, you know, we're going to have the warm up. We're going to have the spanking. We're going to have the cool down, and then we're going to have aftercare. And that's the pattern we're going to follow. And knowing that is what's going to happen, then that will help calm you down. Not to mention the predictability supports the trust between you and your partner, and it helps with regulation of your body. And it helps with regulation because aftercare, as we know, it slows your heart rate. It deepens your breathing. It helps your muscles relax. And often you're making sure you drink your water afterward, maybe having a little snack. So it's supporting your blood sugar levels and your hydration levels, which is all good things. Aftercare also supports your emotional regulation because this reassurance, your partner talking to you, telling you how proud they are of you, what a great job you did, how amazing you are, that reassurance can really help counter some anxiety spirals, especially if your anxiety is, oh my God, how did I do? Did I take enough pain? Did I make my partner happy? That's all you need, right? That's all you need after having this calming experience to immediately go into an anxiety spiral of, was I good enough? So making sure that your partner is reassuring you and letting you know how proud they are of you. Even if it was that you called a safe word and they tell you how proud they are of you for calling that safe word.
Holy shit, I would be. Like, as the top, I would be so proud.
Anybody who calls a safe word with me, I always tell them I'm proud of them. I thank them. I'm like, thank you for that. So, being present in the moment with your partner helps prevent any kind of shame or self-doubt. I mean, I'm going to ask Dara a question. I'm going to let her answer it because again, I don't have anxiety, so I can't speak to it. Do you feel shame around having anxiety and being unable to calm yourself?
Yeah, sometimes because I look at people without it and it's more jealousy that I can't. But it's kind of difficult to explain. I'm not entirely sure I would consider it shame. I've been this way forever, so I don't know any other way, but it sucks. Like, I'm sure there are some people that feel ashamed of having it, especially because it is a mental health condition. And it is, a lot of people feel shame of even having a mental health issue or made to feel that way. So, okay, so I would say I've been shamed. I've been told, just calm down. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. Just calm down.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
It's also incredibly embarrassing because let's say I'm on an airplane and I have an absolute fucking panic attack because the plane dipped a little bit. And I'm sitting in my seat crying. And it's me crying and 2 babies. And that's it. That's embarrassing as hell.
Well, you're good company. Babies are cute.
Yeah, but not when they're screaming.
And also, too, I mean, I would imagine at some point you did not know what you had was anxiety. You just felt this way. And there wasn't necessarily
it just felt
a name that you could put to it.
No, not when I was
And
a
I know
kid. It basically didn't exist.
And my eldest is dealing with anxiety right now. And the amount of texts that I would get because he's like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And I'm like, you're not having a heart attack, honey. I promise
You're
you.
having an anxiety attack.
You're not having a heart attack. It's an anxiety attack, not a heart attack. And then, unfortunately, he found my blood pressure cuff. So now he was taking his blood pressure multiple times a day, which I'm not sure if that was helping or hurting.
That's not a good thing. I would take that away.
Well, remember, he's also on the spectrum. So it's the spectrum combined with anxiety made for a very fascinating...
And his dad's hypochondria.
Yeah, and with his dad's hypochondria. Yeah, it was a hell of a combination. I remember the best was when he said to me, he goes, what will I have to do for you to take me to the hospital? Drop dead in front of you? And again, because I am a kind, loving mother who was raised on sarcasm and sass. I said, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Though
did I not just say that? Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I know you.
Well, I used a line with him that I got from Jen Hamilton from TikTok, which she says to her patients. She says to them, look at me. Am I scared? No. Then there's no reason for you to be. When I am scared, that's when you're allowed to be scared, because then we got problems. But if I'm not scared, it's fine. You're under control.
That doesn't help me when the flight attendants are running to the back of the plane to strap themselves in.
No, well, I wasn't using your examples. I was telling my son that if I'm not rushing to take him to the ER, we're good.
I'm just saying, if we were to apply that doesn't help me.
And I would imagine telling you you're much more likely to get into a car accident on the way to and from the airport than actually getting into an accident in the airplane isn't going to help you either.
So, funny story.
Oh, please tell me to get into an accident.
I'm scared of the falling part.
Well,
no. I'm scared of the falling part. It has nothing to do with crash. If I'm dead, if I've crashed in an airplane, I'm dead. I'm not going to give a shit. I won't know. It's the getting there part that terrifies me. And if I'm in a car and I crash, I'm going to be in pain. I may not necessarily die. It's just going to suck worse. So there's pros and cons here. But in the airplane, it's the falling part and the fact that I could be falling for 20 straight minutes, which I did coming back from vacation this year. We were dipping for 20 fucking straight minutes. Do you have any idea how long that is for a not good flyer with anxiety related to the falling part?
I will not share with you the 2 times I've been on an airplane when there were actual problems, because that would freak you out. Luckily,
let's not do
I
that,
don't have anxiety. And at the time, I traveled for business all the time. So I figured at some point something had to happen. The odds were against me. But the moral of the story is both times they were totally fine.
I would rather watch you stick needles into somebody and draw blood than be on a dipping airplane.
Yeah. No, mine were not dipping incidents.
Yeah, let's not discuss that right now. You can talk about that in NSFW and in the chat, and you can put a little spoiler taggy thing on it, but we're not going there.
Okay. Well, let's get back to aftercare then. I'm going to give you some aftercare right now, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, love. I'm going to give you
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. So some really good anxiety supportive aftercare options is touch, a grounding touch or pressure, warm hugs, like Olaf.
Hugs. We like warm hugs.
Right? Warm blankets or clothing. I know for some people, I happen to be one of them, smell. right? Certain smells I find very calming. For some people, certain materials are very calming. A calm verbal reassurance. Maybe even just sitting quietly together and syncing your breathing. So you're breathing in and out at the same time. And gentle check-ins without any pressure to process anything. And of course, water or electrolytes and some light snacks are also helpful. So, as I said, the impact play can help, but not all the time. So let's really talk briefly about when impact play is not helpful, because I feel like we got to give both sides here. So it is not for everyone, Dara. Some bodies find pain activating, not calming. So I don't think this would help, Dara.
No.
Trauma history matters. So if you have trauma history, because as I tell people all the time, you don't have to do impact to be a kinkster, as Dara has proven time and time again. I was just talking today with somebody who never does impact scenes with their slave. In fact, their slave prefers to top other people. They go to events and they each find other people to play with because that's not part of their dynamic. So if you have a trauma history around impact and therefore don't do impact, this is not going to be helpful for you. And then, of course, there's the caveat that nervous systems differ. And what works for one person may not work for another one. So some signs you're going to want to look for to see if it's helping you or hurting you is your anxiety increasing instead of decreasing? Do you find yourself dissociating or feeling numb from the scene? And then are you feeling pressure to kind of push through it? And you're no longer doing it because you want to, but because you feel you have to. You should never push through anything because you feel you have to.
Yeah, then that's just going to make your anxiety straight up worse.
And if this doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean you're broken or there's something wrong with you. As we talk all the time, kink is incredibly customizable and even in therapy, right? Not every regulation tool is going to work for every person. Some people things work for, some things work for other people. And that's going to be the same thing with this. This doesn't work for everybody. I'm hoping that what y'all take away from this is that it's an option, right? If you haven't previously thought about it, that this is something you can try, because I can't even begin to imagine that it's going to, living with anxiety on a daily basis. So if this is something you can try to maybe help you, then that would be amazing. Try to remind yourself again that anxiety is not just in your head, right? It affects you physically, and that this is why impact play can possibly help you. Remember, it's a tool, not a cure, and it's therapeutic. It is not therapy. And that obviously consent and negotiation and aftercare need to be an essential part of the whole process. And you don't have to justify to anybody why you are doing these maintenance spankings, why you are doing impact. You don't owe anybody a reason for doing what you do. You enjoy it and it helps you.
Indeed.
Is sufficient. So before we actually fully wrap up, I want to kind of share something that I'm working on that grew directly out of the research that I was doing on this episode. Wow. I just finished a class beforehand. That's why I'm thinking class, right? As I was researching anxiety and impact play, it became very obvious to me that regulation isn't just the responsibility of the person receiving the sensation, that it's shared. The person who is giving the sensations, who is giving those maintenance spankings, also has a very important role to play in creating the right kind of impact scene to help. And so I'm creating 2 companion nervous system checklists that would be a good addition to this episode. The first checklist is for the person receiving the sensation, so the bottom, who is curious about how impact play affects their specific anxiety and nervous system. The checklist is designed to help you get curious about how anxiety shows up in your body, what kind of sensation helps you feel grounded, what your nervous system actually needs, and then are there any red flags that you should be looking out for that tell you it's time to pause or stop. Then the second checklist is for the person holding the power in the scene, the person topping, the person giving, that is doing the impact to help support the nervous system regulation for their partner, who is obviously working and dealing with anxiety. And this one helps the top focus on reading body cues, asking better questions before the scene, thinking very intentionally about intensity and rhythm in the scene, and then understanding why aftercare and then follow-up are very much a part of your responsibility in the situation. I'm actively creating both of those right now. I'm hoping that they'll be available by the time this episode comes out. That is my goal. But just in case life throws me a curveball and it takes me a little longer, then just make sure that you're following us on social media. And when they're ready, I'll make sure to let you know exactly where you can find them. But I'm hoping the two of them, and they'll be bundled together, because obviously if there's a receiver, there is a giver. So this way you can have the two checklists together, and you and your partner each get the appropriate one for them to help them out. Daria, have I forgotten anything when it comes to anxiety?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
think it's all good. I think that's covered.
I was really very, very excited about this, so I can learn too, because maybe I'll be the person asked to give the spanking to somebody who is dealing with anxiety, and I want to be able to understand what's going on. And anytime we can do a why episode, I know that makes Dara happy. And I live for making Dara happy.
Oh, you do, really? I thought you lived for making me squirm and be all uncomfortable and shit. And like mental pain, or, whatever you can get your claws on.
And we're all about the and here.
Yes, porque no los dos. God damn it.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.